Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is your brother Nafis Abu Zayd, and with me is my co-host
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Isa Abu Isa.
Isa Abu Isa, Asif.
Inshallah ta'ala.
That individual misguided me.
والله يا عبد الله رحمة الله. This individual, he allowed أهل البدع وأهواء أهل الزيغ.
Evil, vile, corrupt,
erroneous and incorrect
individual. And they come with their plastic smile.
This is why we make harb against bid'ah.
With shirk and bid'ah. Ahmaq. This Rabee. You have this individual. So this individual
misguided and being in error. Said to these individuals.
Evil, vile, corrupt. The statement is a statement of kufr. This hasty, impeccable character. Salafi, Sunni, Athari, misguided, astray. In the Qutbiyya, which are a thorn in the throat of the innovators. This khabith, this vile, evil individual, Khariji, khabith, this ignorant fool, is not upon the way of the Salaf. He is a jahil, ahmaq, fool, this idiot. We need to call out these people. Qutbiyya, Sururiyya, to expose these people and speak against them.
What you just heard was a series of different clips, and I know it might seem like cut and paste, but there were multiple voices from our different brothers, inshallah, and we can see some of the vile or vulgar speech that they would use, obscene speech they would use, even when reprimanding those who are upon innovation. And inshallah ta'ala, we're going to talk about today a letter that was written by our esteemed scholar, Shaykh Rabee. And Shaykh Rabee ibn Hadi al-Makali, hafidhahullah ta'ala, he placed this himself on sahab.net. We will give you the actual date. He placed this on the internet. But however, the advice, this letter was written to someone many of you might not know, some of you might do know, against Faalih al-Harbi, Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi. And many of the brothers are aware of Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi. A lot of the brothers was affected by the Shaykh Dawah. They used to revere the Shaykh. They actually elevated the status of the Shaykh. He was actually mentioned by certain people as being an alama, and he fell into some certain areas, some grave areas at that. And look how Shaykh Rabee, when giving him some advice and refuting that which he was upon, the areas that he fell into, just look at his mannerism, inshallah. So first, the first thing of the title is called Nasihatun Akhawiyatun ila Akh al-Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi. All right? This is called brotherly advice to our brother Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi. We want to mention 2 points here. One, that the Shaykh here, even though he's refuting and correcting some of the errors that our beloved brother Faalih al-Harbi, Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi, fell into, you see that he's still calling this an advice. So this goes to warrant that, as we said with Shaykh Salih Fawzan, hafidhahullah, he mentioned that refutation do fall under the bab of advice.
Of advice, yes it does.
It falls under the bab of advice. So for those people who believe that the videos that we have been making and of addressing some of the misguided principles that our brothers have felt into, and they felt as though it was an attack on the administration of Germantown Masjid, which is a false claim, or they feel as though it's an attack against some of the brothers, which is another false claim. No, this is brotherly advice. We're giving advice just like we see our Shaykh and our elder here, Shaykh Rabee himself. He's given this brotherly advice to Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi.
And another point is, it was done on the internet, open.
Now, we're going to get to that. The next point here, also we see that the Shaykh still referred to Faalih al-Harbi as a Shaykh. He didn't remove that from him, the esteemed title of being a scholar. He didn't remove that fact from him. Something that many people believe, just because someone is being warned against or being refuted, that you drop their scholarship or you drop their academic.
But wouldn't that be against the issue of somebody trying to say Ali Davis called
Yusuf
Qaradawi a Sheikh?
No. So this
that would go against that.
That would go against that. So here we see the Sheikh actually addressing him as his brother, as well as calling him by his title, Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi. Also, as our brother mentioned, Isa Abu Isa, the Sheikh placed this on the internet himself, which brings us to our third point. Now, this was placed on sahab.net. For many of you who do not know, this type of website, a lot of the scholars had their own personal account. They can place benefits, whatever they want. The Sheikh felt the need to place this letter onto the internet, which means he brought it in the public and open, even though it was a vice. Now, for those who say that the videos that we have been making is somehow tarnishing the brothers by mentioning the names or going against people in the open, and the way that we're doing it is incorrect, then that will have to apply, again, without the double standards, that will have to now apply to Shaykh Rabee himself. Because he placed this on the internet for all to see, inshallah ta'ala, and hopefully they can benefit from it.
Also, we'll see Allah Bass, his refutation of Abu Khadeejah was out in the open. On the internet.
Also, continuing, the Shaykh, he starts off with the Basmalah, right? Basmalah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala Rasulullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa nattabi'a hudah. So he starts off praising Allah Jalla wa ala, sending salutation upon the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and upon his family and his companions, and all those who follow him and find guidance. He said that this letter is directed to Fadilat al-Shaykh. Now, first he called him Shaykh. He didn't remove his honorary from him, his title. Now, he's calling him Fadilat al-Shaykh. Now he's saying Fadilat, virtuous scholar.
So
he's calling him a virtuous scholar. He didn't call him, as you've seen earlier, Ahmaq, Khabith. He didn't call him any of these things. See the mannerism that he still had with him, even though he's getting ready to censor him, even though he's getting ready to criticize him, even though he's getting ready to refute him, he's still addressing him in the best way. And this reminds me of something that Hassan al-Basri, for those who don't know, the great tabi'een, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhim, where he mentioned that the ayat in Surah At-Tawbah, Allah Jalla wa ala said, Afallahu anka lima adanta, right? And to the end of the verse, Allah, he said, may Allah pardon you, O Muhammad, for you granting permission for those who want to stay behind from fighting in the war. Hassan al-Basri said about this verse, he said, look how Allah, and he's Allah Jalla wa ala, look how before censoring the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for allowing these people to lag behind from war, he made dua for him. He said, Afallahu anka, may Allah pardon you. And in this point here, it shows us what? Shaykh Rabee seems to be following along with that. Before you criticize someone, before you speak out against someone, you still should what? Uphold their honor. Still make dua for them. Still want khair for them. Still want good. These are the things that you should want. So we don't call
people vile and filthy and disgusting and may Allah kill you. We don't do this. This is not how we
This is not how we talk. Next, he said that this letter is to the virtuous scholar Faalih ibn Nafi' lil Harbi. Wafaqahu Allah wa saddada khata'ahu. Again, he's making another dua. May Allah, he said this is to Faalih, the son of Nafi', the son of Nafi' lil Harbi. He said, may Allah grant you success. May Allah grant you tawfiq. This is a dua. And may He correct your errors. May He correct His errors.
You know, another point before you begin, we got another point. If 2 points. The first point is, like for example, Shaykh Yahya al-Hujuri, right? May Allah preserve him.
I mean,
people that took the name Shaykh off his name and call him Yahya the fool, or call the Shaykh A'udhu Billah a donkey. I mean, these are people on the minbar who haven't reached the level of even acknowledging his toe, calling him out of his name. But as we see, even if the Shaykh made mistakes or didn't make mistakes, to remove his scholarship from him and not call him Shaykh Yahya, this is so disrespectful. As we see Shaykh Rabee didn't remove the ilm and the title from Shaykh al-Harbi. Didn't remove it from him. Didn't remove it from him. Just like you can't say, when our brother Ali Davis, may Allah preserve him, said Shaykh Yusuf Qaradawi was a scholar. You can't remove, Shaykh Albani didn't remove his scholarship from him. Even though he fell into some major errors in Aqeedah and things like that, he still was a scholar. And just because he fell into some errors doesn't remove the name Shaykh. Because Shaykh Rabee did not remove the title of Shaykh from Harbi.
But the agenda behind attacking and leveling that with Yusuf Qaradawi, Shaykh Yusuf Qaradawi, it wasn't the point that he just called him Shaykh. They was trying to say that the fact that he called him Shaykh was a form of praise.
SubhanAllah.
And saying that he was somehow in agreement with what he was upon. And this was what they was alluding to. And they made it general. Inshallah ta'ala, we should get to that.
No.
So the Shaykh now, after doing all of this and this better etiquette, he goes on to say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now look at the etiquette. I just want you to see it. he did not give him the obligatory salams. You only have to say assalamu alaikum.
Nah.
All right. He also gave him assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Right. He didn't stop there. Based on the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. For him he got what?
Nah.
10.
Yep.
For him he got 20.
Mm-hmm.
He said assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So look at how the Shaykh here is using manners and adab. And this is something that we, all of us, even lay people, students, we should all be mindful how the scholars deal with these issues.
Nah.
So that we don't take it upon ourselves, or if we witness people who take it upon themselves to enter into these fields, like our brother Anwar Wright, like our brother Jamil Finch, like our brother Hassan Somoli, like our brother, many of the different brothers, Abu Khadeejah, Hamza Abdul Razak, like these particular brothers, we need to be able to remind them to be just, remind them to know their limitations, remind them to know their field and their place.
Exactly. Because
these are the way that the scholars speak. So now he say, Amma ba'd, as to what follows. He say, indeed, وَقَدْ وَقَفْتُ عَلَى كَلَامٍ. Indeed, I came across your speech, some words pertaining to criticism that caught my attention. He said, I came across some of your speech. Now he's talking to Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi. He said, the first thing I would like to address is that, one, I have put forth some questions to you on Yawmul Jum'ah that's corresponding with the second month of the Hijrah, the 27th day, 1423, all right, about some people. And here when he say people, he's talking about some specific individuals that was upon the Dawah to Salafiyah. He said, and you responded to my questions, and you said, Laysu min as-Salafiyin. You said about these people, they are not Salafis. You said about these people, they weren't people upon Salafi. Now pay attention to this. The Shaykh said, then it was asked to you, is it a stipulation that you must clarify the reason or the cause for criticism? When you criticize someone, do you must explain the reason for that criticism? Do you must mention the evidence along with the reason for that criticism? The Shaykh said, you responded, there is no stipulation in relation to this science with the people of Jarh wa Ta'dil about mentioning the reason for a criticism. This was Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi response to Shaykh Rabee. Now pay attention. وَلَيْسَ فِي كَلَامُ مُخَالِفِينَ فِي مَنَاجِهِهِمْ وَفِي سُلُوكِيَاتِهِمْ. And he said, nor was it any speech of those who are opposed, meaning those who oppose that, those who are in the opposite or in contradiction, those who oppose in regards to their methodology and their way. Shaykh Rabee said, I respond, and this is what I say. Number one, إِنَّكُمْ سُئِلْتُمْ عَنْ أَشْخَاصٍ مُعَيِّنِينَ مشهورين عند الناس بسلفية ودعوة إليها وفيهم علماء. He said, indeed you were asked, Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi, about specific people who were well known to the people for their salafiyah and their calling to it. Let's stop here. Our beloved brothers throughout the years, they have been refuting a lot of students. And they have been saying a lot of statements that were general. And they have not brought the detailed criticism. And we're going to get to that point. Students that they mentioned were well known to the people for their salafiyah. They were known not only to the people, they were known to the ulama. They were known to the scholars back then in Mecca and Medina, like Sheikh Tahir. They knew him. And then the people, they knew of his dawah. Then the people knew of Muhammad Munir. And they remember Muhammad Munir when they raised money about the permission of Allah when he went to Yemen. Then when he went to Yemen, he got accepted to Medina and he went to Medina. And then people started speaking ill of him. And then people started speaking ill of a lot of other people that were known. And these brothers had made general statements. And these people were known for their salafiyah. They were known for their calling to it. He said...
Just before he begins, I'm just to bring it home. I ask everybody who's listening right now and everybody's watching, if you think about all the names, let's just have Abu Osama, or let's think about Tahir Wai, let's think about our brother Mufti Muhammad Munir. What's the reason why they was refuted, and what's the proof that's been established against them? It's like a phantom. It's like phantom delir. We don't know the reason behind it. We don't know any proof. We don't know anything. You ask somebody, what's the deviance of any of these guys? What the brother said. Just like that. The scholars refuted him. What scholars? I'm going to go ask the brothers. It's not, just like what Shaykh Rabee is saying. It's no asbab. It's no delir. It's nothing.
No. And then he goes on, he said, and amongst them, there are ulama who are in the eyes of the people. But look what he say here. He said, فَأَخْرَجْتَهُمْ مِنَ السَّلَفِيَّةِ. He said, and you have removed them from the fold of Salafiyah. He said, وَهَذَا إِخْرَاجُ جَرْحٌ شَدِيدٌ فِيهِمْ يُحْتَاجُ إِلَى أَدِلَّةٍ. He said, and this removing them from Salafiyah was a stern or severe form of criticism that was in need of evidence. Other words, brothers and sisters, before you can, first of all, a tulab, a student, let alone a beginning student of knowledge or a layperson cannot remove someone from Salafiyah. But this is a serious matter. Here he's telling this sheikh that you cannot remove someone with criticism except that it's in need of evidence. It cannot be general statements. It cannot be so-and-so support the Hizbis. La.
No, it can't be that.
It can't be that. So-and-so is Ikhwani in the way that he moved. La.
Wait, that's not.
No, it gotta be detailed.
But proof, bring me the statement the brother made, bring me when he said it, we need to hear it, we need to see it written down, we need clear statements, then it has to be referred to the people who do the refutations in reality, the ulama. So all the asbab has to be there. Why? What happened? What's the reason for the refutation? What's the proof that you established against the brother? Then we need to take it to the ulama.
No. Then the Shaykh, he said, فَإِذَا لَمْ تَأْتِي بِالْعَدَلَّةِ وَأَسْبَابُ هَذَا الْجَهْرِ رَأَى النَّاسِ أَنَّكَ قَدْ ظَلَمْتُهُمْ تعديت عليهم وطعنت في دينهم بغير وجه الحق. Listen to this. He said, so if you do not present the evidence for this criticism that you're laying upon the people, he's telling Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi. And I want the brothers Hassan, Somoli, and Abu Khadeejah to pay attention to this, because we're going to read some statements of Shaykh Wasil al-Abbas about Abu Khadeejah when he made jah a particular masjid and a particular people. And look how the Shaykh dealt with him and how he did not stick to these guidelines. So look here. He said, فَإِذَا لَمْ تَأْتِ بِالْأَدِلَّةِ. If you do not present that evidence for this criticism you're making, and the reason for this criticism, the people now will look at you like you have oppressed them, that you have transgressed against them, and that you have criticized their religion without any due right. فَصَارَتَ مُتَّهِمًا or مُهْتَمًا عِنْدَ النَّاسِ. And therefore you will become now accused with the people. You'll be someone accused. Now the situation changed. You're the one speaking ill of the people, right? Now if the people see that you did that without any due right, without any evidence or mention the means for that, now the people is going to look at you the wrong way. And I ask you, brothers and sisters, how do you think the people feel about the likes of our brothers Hassan Somoli and Abu Khadeejah over the years? They felt this way because the brothers have been giving us general statements. And when they are questioned, as the incident took place with me, myself, and this is not nothing personal. No. May Allah Jalla preserve our brother Hassan Somali. And may Allah Subhanahu cause him to make tawbah for anything that he made fell errors. Likewise, me as well. And we ask Allah Jalla to allow us to be strong upon the dawah and to accept it when it reaches. Ameen. Ameen. The Shaykh, for those who know, he invited me to come down to Masjid Mukbil, that's on 27th and Allegheny. And he was given the class on marriage at this time. And at this time, Sheikh Tahir Wyatt, Hafidhullah, had came over and he was going around to the different masajids by the permission of Allah. So one of the masjids that he came and gave dawah at was the masjid that I was currently a khatib at and one who led the salat. And I benefited when he came. However, at that time, I did not have truly control over the masjid situation as who come and who not come. But still, I sit there, I sat in this class and I benefited. And even if I did have control, yes, I would have invited him. However, at that time, they were going around telling other people, like Masjid Furqan, ourselves, they were telling people, you know, do not, they were saying, do not invite or do not give Sheikh Tahir Wyatt a platform to speak. So he told me to come down because that happened and said, have the brother come speak to me. So when I go down there to speak to him, this is no exaggeration. There was a lot of witnesses out there. This is something that's true that actually happened. After the class, we get outside. So we're standing outside in front of Muqbil Masjid. And Hassan Somoli, when I speak to him, I said, I'm here upon your request. And he said to me, he mentioned three things. He said, one, name me one particular person of innovation that Tahir Wyatt refuted. And I want you to understand something. We're going to talk about this in another setting. That this is another misguided principle of Hassan Somoli and as pubs. That you have to warn against innovation, specifically innovation. No, if you warn against innovation generally, then that's still sufficient.
Sooner, that's warning against innovation.
But that's another point.
Yeah.
So that was one point. And then he said he speak ill of the brothers. Right? He's on Medina.com. Right? And then he mentioned another point that he said that, Tahir Wyatt and giving Dawah and stuff like that, this is something that happened to that effect. And I don't really remember, so I don't want to lie on him. So I remember those 2 points. And then he mentioned to me, I said, well, my response to him was, brother, I have nothing to do with that. My only question to you, and at this time, when I said this to him, I said, my only question to you is that I'm not even worrying about Sheikh Tahir Wyatt. I'm not worrying about anybody else. I'm worrying about the person who controlled that website. And at that time, the moderator was Sheikh Khalid al-Radadi. I said, so here we're talking about Tahir Wyatt. I said, why would you take the issue? If you felt though Tahir Wyatt was making a mistake, why wouldn't you go back to the Sheikh? This is what I said to him. I said, why wouldn't you go back to Sheikh Khalid al-Radadi?
He's the
moderator. So why would we lay our complaint with him if they're saying anything that's incorrect? This is when he raised his voice. He called me a jahil. For those who don't know, he called me ignorant. He said I'm a khatib ala minbar. I'm just a person who gives sermons on the minbar. Right? And I have ta'asub towards Tahir. These are the three things that he said to me. That I had ta'asub towards Tahir. So then I came back at him. I said, brother, name me one incident where the Prophet ﷺ hollered and raised his voice and spoke to a person like this. You're speaking to me like this in front of all of these people like that. This is what I said. So Abdul Hafid, Hafidahullah, may Allah preserve him, he came outside at this time. He seen what was transpiring. He told us to go inside the office. And when we went inside the office, meaning we went into the office of Muqbil, there was Hassan Somoli, Anwar Wright, it was two other brothers, Abdurrahman At-Tawil, and there was another brother there. Okay? These particular brothers, we were sitting around, I was talking to Somali, and Somali was saying at the very least, why didn't Tahir Wyatt write the bayan? As we can see, Tahir was instructed by other scholars not to write the bayan. But that was not my argument. My argument was wondering why he was speaking to me in such a manner, and why didn't he go back to the Sheikh Khalid Radadi? Let's forget that. Let's go straight to Khalid Radadi, because this is what you're saying. And the fact of explaining to him I had no control of the masjid. So after that transpired, later on that night, I get a call on my phone, and it's Hassan Somali. He calls me on the phone, and he said to me, I want to apologize for my bad behavior. Now, for those who don't know, from his characteristic, for many people who do not know, our beloved brother has a temper. And, many people have tempers. And he's known to go into a temper tantrum. So this is not to assassinate his character. But I wanted to mention that point to you because here you can see if you do not present the evidence, what's going to happen now. You did not present any evidence against Tahir Wyatt when you mentioned those 3 points to me. And I said that to him there. I said, that's not convincing enough for me. I said, I don't see any evidence that you're bringing. You're bringing Kilo a call to me. You're bringing some shubha. He said and she said. He support al-Ma'rabi. Okay, you can't bring a statement where he supported al-Ma'rabi. You can't bring anything clear cut. No. I just don't understand. So I said I can't accept it.
Class with him or something.
So I couldn't accept it. I said I can't accept that.
No, you can't.
And then you display bad mannerism towards me because of that fact, and then blame me for having fanaticism towards Tahir Wyatt, who I didn't know at this time or have never met. And that's subhanAllah.
But wouldn't that be, the fact that Sheikh Khalid al-Radadi was the moderator, right?
No.
And that means he had close dealings with Tahir.
No.
Do you think those mistakes were, if they were true mistakes like you're saying, number one, the Sheikh was unaware of those mistakes? That's the first question. The second question is, what kept you from calling Sheikh Khalid al-Radadi yourself and presenting your general refutation of the brother to a scholar. You know why? Because the scholar would have smashed it out and have been over right then and there. But the issue is to keep things like that boiling and to keep the unclearness around, so it can be, so people can feel confused and things can be confused. That's really what's going on.
No. So now what happens? The Sheikh said you become accused in front of the people where now you are in need of clarifying your deen and your honor. And tell me right now, since these videos been made, the brothers feel as though they have been attacked. The brothers are now non-stop giving khutbahs up Germantown. They're saying we're speaking ill and negative of the administration of Germantown. They said we're talking ill of the brothers. We're speaking in this way. We criticize them. Same thing they blame Medina.com for. They said the same thing. We're speaking ill of the Salafis. We're talking about them this and this bad way. Now you demand that we come with some detail. But actually, we've been coming with detailed evidence.
Yeah, detailed evidence.
Okay? Look what the Sheikh said next. He said, فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلْ طَعْنَ فِيكَ النَّاسِ وَلَنْ تَعْلَ أَنْتَ وَلَا غَيْرِكَ بِهَذَا الطَّعْنِ. And that's the point. He said, so if you do not, Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi, if you do not present this evidence for your criticism and the reason for your criticism, what's going to happen? The people now are going to criticize you.
No.
And this is not what happened. Brothers, this is what your hands put forth. These videos won't stop. The interviews won't stop.
No.
Allah Jalla wa Ala, alhamdulillah, have put us forth. This is what goes around. You have been criticizing people in a general sense because you're not ulama. This is why the agreement was made. You're not ulama. It was to protect from any type of group movement or anything. And now that you have made a muck of things and you have tarnished the honor of brothers who have went overseas and studied for years, and brothers who have not even studied in the university setting, but outside of that, you have tarnished those brothers. And first the worst, now look at us. We are a reaction to that.
And you know the thing is that that's bad. We have that. Because we've seen division, Hizbiyah and Haddadiyah. We've seen extremism and partisanship dividing our community, coming from that, you brothers, whether you understood what you were doing or not, but it's coming from you. So the reason, we have the reason. And then when we criticized you, it was detailed criticism. We came with the statements of the scholars. We brought your statements from Twitter. We brought your statements from videos. We brought your statements from what you said. We brought your statements from stories that's been proven. We brought all the statements, then we refuted them with the statements of the ulama, and we criticized one of the statements of the ulama. So we have our reason, and it's detailed. And we haven't slandered you, called you deviants, and we haven't told nobody not to take from you, and we didn't tell nobody that they can't take knowledge from you, and we haven't called you out of your name. We kept your honor intact. We kept you as Muslims intact. But you do the opposite. But we're never going to take your honor from you. But we're not going to stop. And if you don't stop, we're going to keep going and keep going. If you end up turning into powder behind it, your own hands have put that forth.
So the Sheikh, he continues. He said, and you will never be pleased with this for yourself or anyone else with this type of criticism. So the criticism that you're levying, Shaykh Faalih, as this letter being addressed, and the criticism that you, beloved brothers, are placing against others, you will never be pleased once the shoe is on the other foot.
No.
You know, you will never be pleased now because you never had this type of confrontation before. And I ask the brothers and sisters, the lay people, because it's time for us to really wake up. Not just make it a gossip show, not to make it, one of those type of shows. What is the brother saying about the brothers this day?
No, we don't want that.
We need you to wake up and start challenging the people that's in front of you now. Start looking at the way that they respond in a general sense. Don't listen to the howling of the dogs, the hypocrites. I'm all right. Don't listen to this. Keep moving. Stay calm. No, we want a response. If you're not going to respond to us, if you're not going to respond to Ali Davis' letter and the legitimate questions that he asks, if you're not going to respond to the brothers who have put forth legitimate questions to you, the sisters who have put forth legitimate questions, then won't you respond to this letter? What happened to this particular letter here? Let's respond. Do you agree with what Shaykh Rabee is saying to Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi right now?
No.
And if you agree, do you admit that you're falling to the same thing that Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi have felt into?
That happened to the agreement. You wrote your names on it. Why have you responded to that? That's detailed. We have it written in Arabic and in English. We showed it. We read it, translated point by point. You saying it's not detailed? Those very detailed.
And brothers and sisters, later on in this particular letter, which we're not going to do tonight, we're going to make this short, inshallah. But later on in this letter, he mentioned, Shaykh Rabee mentioned to Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi, he said you want to respond in a swift manner. And he gave him his reason why. He said you want to respond in a swift manner so that there won't be no room for kila wa qal. no speculations, no he said, she said. Because you know how it is. Someone presents something to you, a question, and if the truth was with you, you should be able to respond. And if you don't respond, what happens? Thoughts goes in people's minds. Maybe he didn't have the evidence for what he said. Maybe he's not truthful. Maybe he did attack the brother honor. Maybe he did lie. Now ask yourself what you're thinking about the brothers now. Since we've been making these videos, what you thinking about? They have not been responding. The only thing they've been saying is stay away from them. Everybody is Ahlul Bidah. Get away from them. They're sympathizing for the people of Hizbi. They're only making interviews with such and such. Okay? This is what you'll be hearing from them. But you don't hear nothing academic. No response academic at all. Whatsoever. That letter that Ali Davis written was academic. The class he did on Bid'ah was academic. Where do we have that response back? So how do you look in the eyes of the people? You have to ask yourself this. So the Shaykh, he continued, because we're only going to do this one principle. He said, if you do not do this, everything I just mentioned, Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi, guess what's going to happen now? فَتَكُومُ فِتْنَةً وَيَحْصُلُ اِخْتِلَافُ بَيْنَ السَّلَفِيِّينَ. And that's what happened right now. He said, fitna will be established. Trials and tribulations will be established. And what else? There will occur differing between the Salafiyin.
And that's not what's happening?
And that's not what happened?
You think you can oppress people? You think you can keep on doing what you're doing? And then people want to eventually stand up to it once they had enough of it? That's what's happening right. What's happening right now to you, brothers, is that the people of Philadelphia, speaking about them specifically, have had enough. And we had enough of it. We had enough of your general refutations of people, your slander of people, your dogging out of people. You're not establishing anything for the community. People have had enough. It's no more just saying don't take from people. There's no more saying that matches the bid'ah. There's no more saying they're not clear. We're not going for it anymore. Every time you make a statement like that, we're going to do the research. We're going to bring your statement and we're going to criticize it and bring it in the open. Every single time you do it.
Also, the Shaykh continues. He said so, and what else is going to happen now? What's going to happen is what you see, and a lot of lay persons, I hear you, and I understand you, I sympathize with you. I understand it seems confusing. Who to take from, who not to take from, why the students are going at each other's throats. The reason why is what the Shaykh is saying right here. This is the reason why. You need to understand this, and I'm going to make sure this is clear before this video is over. The reason why you see this back and forth, because look what the Shaykh said. He said it's going to be abundance, frequent criticism that's being exchanged. This side criticizing that side criticizing that side, this student criticizing this student, that student. Why? You got to go back now. The first principle that he's bringing to Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi is that when you make criticism of someone, it has to be detailed, and you have to mention the evidence along with the reason. That's number one. And he said, you cannot make a general criticism of someone and remove him from the foes of Salafiyah. You have to have clear evidence for that. And this is important. So our beloved brothers throughout the years, this is how they've been getting away with it. They've been calling different mashaykhs, and they've been saying this and they've been saying that. And we have a video where Sheikh Muhammad Hadi first speak out about against this stuff, about people calling from the West with loaded questions, not mentioning names, but taking the fatwa of the Sheikh and applying to people when they get back. This is something that they have been doing for years. So here the Sheikh is saying, this is the reason why you're going to see all of this. And look what he said. The only remedy that can stop this, look what the Sheikh said to Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi. He said, وَلَا يَحْسَمُ ذَلِكَ إِلَّا بِذِكْرِ أَسْبَابُ مُقْنِعَةٍ بِهَذَا الْإِخْرَاجِ. SubhanAllah. He said, nothing will stop this. Nothing will make this thing cease, except if you mention the convincing evidence for your criticism. Why did you criticize this person? And the evidence along with it. You have to mention that. If you listen to the likes of Sheikh Al-Albani, and many people know his tapes are recorded. There are people who came inside his house, and they came with a bunch of hadith that were weak. The Sheikh would never raise his voice. He would never call them out a name, and the Sheikh will respond to them, and then he would refute them calmly, and he would show them their error. Right? But look what he does. He present their proof, their evidence, and then he present his, and he show how it's an error and it's a mistake. In refuting someone, it should be a lesson for the student. For the lay person, we need to stay away from it to protect the deen. But for the student, when you read the refutations of the ulama, it should be a lesson in there for the students. How to utilize the evidence, how to look at your opponent, how to approach your opponent, how to make sure you present both sides. All of this is academia.
And
Academia.
And you know
all
what's
of it.
scary? The scary part is our brothers are still affected by it because one of our brothers is actually a student at Harbi. Hamza Durazak is actually a student of his.
We're gonna say that.
You know what I'm saying? He's actually a student
Yeah,
of
we're
his.
gonna
So,
say that shit.
you know,
we're gonna say that shit. We're gonna get to Hamza.
So, I mean, the point I'm making
Hamza
is
gonna
that
have
people,
his Hamza
you know,
gonna have his time. We're gonna direct something to Hamza. If we really don't know, we're gonna get to him, inshallah. We're gonna get to each one of them slow by slow, so that we can at least, inshallah, try to correct their errors. Bismillah. But yes,
yeah, he definitely is.
yes, he is. طيب. The Sheikh said, وَقَدْ تَطَالِبُ أَنْتَ نَفْسَكَ بِذِكْرِ أَسْبَابٍ وَإِنْ جَحَرَكَ أَحَدٌ أَوْ أَخْرَجَكَ مِنَ السَّلَفِيَّةِ Subhanallah al-Azim. The Sheikh said, indeed yourself would demand that someone, if they was refuting you or removing you from out of the folds of Salafiyah, you would demand the reasons and the evidence for why they doing so.
No.
You yourself. So now, our beloved brother Somoli and Abu Khadeejah, when Shaykh Wasil al-Abbas said what he said, and we're going to read that now. When Shaykh Wasil al-Abbas said what he said, Abu Khadeejah, how did you feel? You called every scholar you can get you can get a number on to contact to try to uphold your honor. You didn't feel like that when the pressure was on you, but not realizing that your words have set forth this action. Again, Somali, where Sheikh Muhammad ibn Hadi have mentioned that you are jahil on numerous occasions, that you are ignorant, that Shaykh Rabee at first was grinding you up, that you had to come over there in the Dawah to go over Thalatatul Usul. See, this is stuff they don't want you to know, but it's just stuff that you need to know as lay people. That these brothers, alhamdulillah, for years they've been getting away with murder, and they've been doing things that wasn't correct. And we have, because I have to grind the lay people up here, because we have not taken our time out to learn the Arabic language, because we have been complacent with allowing other people to think for us, to practice our religion for us, and this is why we find ourselves in the situation we are.
I'll give you this, right? I mean, before we start reading this, something that we also need to know. Something that's bad manners. A guest, right? Coming to your place. A guest. You invite him in your home. And the same guest calls you names or puts you out of your home or turn your kids against you. How would you feel? Right? You would feel angry about that. Tahir Wyatt brought Hassan, introduced him to Germantown. And the same guy turned on Tahir Wyatt and turned his people, own people against him after he invited you to Germantown. What kind of mannerisms is that of a guest? Think about that. And wallah, our brother Hassan, man, you should make tawbah from that. And we ask Allah to forgive us all. May Allah preserve you. But Akhi, wallah, that was wrong, Sheikh.
And another thing, we're not, let's make this disclaimer. We're not rallying around Sheikh Tahir Wyatt. He did not ask
I'm
us
just
again.
bringing the point.
No, I'm agreeing with you that. We're not rallying around Sheikh Tahir Wyatt. We don't want nobody to think that Sheikh Tahir Wyatt is someone that we're rallying around. We upholding any of our brothers' honor, no matter whosoever they may be. But Sheikh Tahir Wyatt is a little bit special because of the fadl that Allah Jalla wa'ala placed upon him. And on the same time, it's interesting enough to come to find out that Sheikh Tahir Wyatt was first boycotted by these brothers because he would not sit in the classes of Sheikh Faalih al-Harbi. This Sheikh that Shaykh Rabee is talking about right now, that's addressing this letter to, Sheikh Tahir Wyatt removed himself from his classes. He wouldn't sit in his classes. The brothers, they felt some type of way. And we know the brothers we're talking about. The brothers, Abu Khadeejah and them, that's sparring them, they felt some type of way that Sheikh Tahir Wyatt removed himself from Sheikh Faalih al-Harbi classes. Because he was acting off the advice of the scholars who knew the seriousness and stuff to the things that Sheikh Faalih was doing. And they didn't want him to get affected. And it's interesting enough that he had hikmah. But at the same time, they was also boycotting Sheikh Abdullah Bukhari. Yes, the brothers at one time was boycotting the classes of Sheikh Abdullah Bukhari. So now, Tahir and Shadid Muhammad was the only one sitting from the Westerners in the classes of Sheikh Abdullah Bukhari, right? While the brothers were sitting in the classes of Sheikh Faalih al-Harbi. Now let's think about something now. Another Sheikh that you might don't know, the old tapes, let's go back to Triple IN, was Sheikh Fawzi al-Athari. Sheikh Fawzi al-Athari, I want you to understand something here. These particular brothers, who Hassan Somoli translated his Salat book, his prayer book, right? These particular brothers, the scholars that they have aligned themselves with, and they have brought up to a high level. If you ever look why they brought them down, it was this extreme thing here that Shaykh Rabee is talking about. This extreme thing. It was so bad that Sheikh Faalih al-Harbi used to get called about a particular issue or a particular person, he would say,
Exactly.
who are Muqtadir? Hang the phone up like that. No evidence, no nothing. He would say, who are Muqtadir? Our brother Abu Hassan Malik, we like to call him Mr. Shadows. Because Abu Hassan Malik, he played innocent on the outside, but he's behind a lot of stuff that's in the back scenes. And he cannot go without saying something. Also, if you think about it, yeah, NA champion Sheikh Fawzi al-Bahraini. So on top of that, if you look at it, Abu Hassan Malik, it was an incident that took place on 52nd Street, for those who knew that Musalla was up there, on 52nd Street. Abu Hassan Malik and another couple of brothers, they had placed a hukum, and they got it from Sheikh, I believe it was Sheikh Faalih al-Harbi, about this particular Musalla that was on 52nd Street, for those who remember the old days, that was up there, that they called it Masjid al-Durar. They called this Musalla Masjid al-Durar. Okay, now Masjid al-Durar was built with the intent during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, right, off of corrupt means, from corrupt individuals, and they was trying to invite the Prophet ﷺ to come pray there.
To divide the Muslims.
To divide the Muslims. Here, they said that this masjid, or this Musalla area, that was having khutbahs up there, and people were praying, they said, and Abu Hassan Malik was at the head of it, they said that that was Masjid Durar. And they were sitting up there saying boycott it, and don't this, and that. So when the smoke cleared that that was a wrong hukum, and it wasn't correct, Abu Hassan Malik couldn't be found, and the one left standing there with the bucket was our beloved brother Hassan Abdul Rahman.
May Allah preserve him.
He was the one left there standing there with the bucket and the blame after Abu Hassan Malik left out. Because he's been doing this already for a long time. And look at this. What happened to the letter? That's what we need to ask him. What happened to this letter? Brothers was praying outside.
Yeah, and the masjid was established by merchants, for the merchants, not to divide the Muslims. SubhanAllah.
He's going to read what Sheikh Wasil al-Abbas said.
Sheikh Wasil al-Abbas stated about Abu Khadeejah. Said the evidences Abu Khadeejah and Salafi publications mentioned to me, in reality, a lot of time has passed since then. And I won't mention everything. But from the key evidences they brought against the Masjid, Green Lane Masjid, as far as I can remember, is, please pay attention. The first, I asked Abu Khadeejah, why are you all in opposition to the brothers at Green Lane Masjid? So Abu Khadeejah, Abdul Wahid, responded with nothing other than the fact that Abdul Hadi goes and participates in discussions with individuals who are Shia, and sits with them as well as others outside the Salafi minhaj. So I said to him, this is the responsibility and obligation amongst the many obligations upon the shoulders of the Salafists to sit with everyone and debate with them in ways which they will ultimately arrive at the truth. And it is nothing but Abu Khadeejah's complete ignorance of this honorable deed that causes him to criticize and disparage and condemn them. Let's stop right there. This is a major scholar, and we brought other statements of other scholars to the same exact thing that he's saying. But the brothers, they tell us, may Allah preserve them, that we rub the shoulders with Ikhwanis, or rub the shoulders with Hizbis when you give a talk at their masjid, or they invite you to give a class. But Shaykh Wasil al-Abbas said it's an honorable deed.
Actually, he said it's from the obligations dealing with creed.
That you go debate and talk with people in an honorable way, that maybe you'll arrive at the truth. That's what he's saying. So if you're going to say that people have tamir, you got to say Wasil al-Abbas has tamir. You have to use that same exact principle. Don't double standard it. Use the same principle that you use against brothers here in Philadelphia. You have to now apply that to Wasil al-Abbas.
Well, they already do. Abu Khadeejah already disrespected the Sheikh in public, and they also don't take from the Sheikh. But I'm not talking about in that incident. I want to stop again here before you go on. Also, look how general it was, because this is the point we're here. Look how general and the misguided understanding that Abu Khadeejah had, and look how Jamil Finch had that same misguided principle, and Anwar Wright did. So you can see where they're getting it from. That if any brother from the likes of among our brothers was to go and give dawah at any particular masjid that might not ascribe to the dawah to Salafiyah, you somehow is aiding that person innovation. Or you somehow you have taught in your deen, you have taught in your manhaj. And here goes Sheikh Wasil al-Abbas, he did not find that to be sufficient. Actually, he said it's from the obligation, so he brought something different. And he said that he was ignorant for the reason why he made that statement.
SubhanAllah. Barakallah feek.
The next point.
This is so amazing. The second and from the claims of Abu Khadeejah and the brothers at Salafi publications, is that the brother Nadir went to Iran. Subhanallah. That was their refutation. He went to Iran. Oh, Abu Khadeejah. The Prophet ﷺ used to go out to the disbelievers and the marketplace of Ukaz and other places where the disbelievers would congregate to call them to Islam. This is especially true of someone who possesses solidity in their religion and creed, and for you to prevent them from doing so is an indication of deficiency in your own intellect and the fact that the Muslims don't know how to call to their religion with wisdom and excellent exhortation. Yes, if Nadir went to, for example, Qatar or any other place and began to call to what the people of Iran call to, then in that case, yes, we will say that he has deviated. But this brother Nadir is responsible for his country, and he is from the people of Hadith, and we hope that Allah will keep his heart pure.
SubhanAllah. SubhanAllah. So you can see here that the accusations or the things that our brother Abu Khadeejah believed that Green Lane was making mistakes in was actually general.
It's criticized, but it was general too.
It was general, and it was based off of ignorance on his behalf to believe that you couldn't give dawah back to your hometown, even if they was inscribed into Salafiyah. It's also basically believed that you couldn't get dawah on this platform or that platform. And this is important, brothers and sisters. Why? Because this is the same reason that we hear Shaykh Faalih have actually made error. And we're going to read this last part and we're going to stop. Look what Shaykh Rabee says next. He said, إِنَّهُ إِذَا تَعَارَضَ الْجَهْرُ مُبْهَمْ وَتَعْدِيلٌ. And we hear this a lot from the lay people. Jahr wa ta'dil, criticism and praise. Look what he says now. He's going to bring us a principle from the principles of the people of Hadith that deals with this science. He said, إِذَا تَعَارَضَ الْجَهْرُ مُبْهَمْ وَتَعْدِيلٌ فَرَاجُوا أَنُّ لَا بُدَّ مِنْ تَفْسِيرِ هَذَا الْجَهْرُ مُبْهَمْ. He said, if you find that the criticism, the unclear criticism, and the praise contradict one another, then what is correct is that you must bring a detailed explanation for the unclear criticism. Okay? And this is, I'm not going to get too technical. For other words, if a person criticizes someone and is unclear of his criticism, and someone praises an individual, but however the unclear criticism contradicts the general praise of that particular person, then the person who made the unclear criticism now must be detailed in his criticism. Yeah. And he must bring evidence. Okay? That's how you establish that. Then he said, وَالْإِشْتِهَارُ بِالدِّينِ وَالسُّنَّةِ وَالسَّلَفِيَّةِ وَدَعْوَةُ إِلَّهَا أَقْوَى مِنَ التَّعْدِيلِ الصَّادِرِ مِنْ عَالِمٍ أَوْ عَالِمَيْنِ. Pay attention. And he said, especially if the unclear criticism is concerning someone who is known for his practice of the deen, for his adherence to the sunnah, for his adherence to salafiyah, to his calling and inviting to it, that is more stronger. That is stronger than a praise that emanates from one scholar or two scholars. Okay? That is stronger than a praise that emanates from one scholar or two scholars. Why? Because if you're going to talk about someone who have been known through his works, through his classes, through his speeches, through his actions, that he has been adhering to the deen, been calling to that way of the Quran and the Sunnah, Fahm Salaf, and he's known for that, to attack his honor, and he hold a high esteem in the minds of the people, you're going to cause a lot of chaos if now you do not be precise, and now it do not be detailed. You can't just say some general criticism. Yeah, so and so. Yeah, he don't come to Germantown Masjid. Yeah. You never see him with the brothers.
We don't see him with the Salafis. Statements like that. What do you mean we don't see him with the Salafis? You don't
that
see
type of
Salafis in the world?
Those type of statements like that, that's not enough to remove someone from Salafi. Yeah. He don't sit with the Salafis. Okay.
Who's the Salafis? There's millions of Salafis in the world. Which ones?
You gotta understand. This don't make sense. This don't make sense. Look what Shaykh Rabee is saying. Now, وَكَلَامُ فِي الْمُخَالِفِينَ وَفِي مَنَاجِهِهِمْ وَسُلُكِيَاتِهِمْ مِنْ أَهَمَّ مَا يَدْخُلُ فِي بَابِ الْجَهْرِ لأن هناك تلازم بين أشخاص ومناجههم فالذي يطعن في منهج الشخص يطعن فيه. This is beautiful, brothers and sisters. And I'm getting ready to stop. This is so beautiful, man. Wallahi azim. The Shaykh now, he's saying, when you want to speak about people who opposes the Dawah, who opposes that which is correct, right? And you're going to speak about their minhaj and their methodology, then that is what is more important in terms of what's included in the field or the area of criticism. Why now? Because there's going to exist between the person, meaning this is lazim now, bayna ashkhas wa manajihim, meaning that is a correlation between a person and his minhaj. You can't separate the two. So when you make ta'an, when you criticize a person, or if you criticize a person minhaj, in reality you're criticizing that person. Yep. Or if you criticize that person, in reality you're criticizing that person minhaj. So you got to be extremely careful. And this is what's going to bring it home. This last point. He said, وَإِذَا تَرَى السَّلَفْ يُبَيِّنُونَ. He said, for this reason we see our salaf, our pious predecessors, يُبَيِّنُونَ بِالْأَدِلَّةِ ضَلَالَ أَهْلِ الْبِدْعِ وَفَسَادِ مَنَاجِهِهِمْ ولهم في ذلك مؤلفات التي لا تحصى وسيأتي ذكر بعدها وأرى أنه لا مناس من ذكر كلمات لأهل العلم في اشتراط وتفسير جح مبهم ورد بعد أن والجح. Look what he said. For this reason we see that our pious predecessors, they clarified the evidence. They clarified the evidence for their criticism. For their criticism. This is the reason why they done this. Their criticism of the misguidance of the people of innovation. They made sure they clarified the evidence of the misguidance of the people of innovation.
Well, if you don't do that, what happens is, say if you criticize a brother, a known Salafi caller, you criticize him, and you think what he's doing is not from the deen or not from Salafiyah, like going to different masjids that's not quote-unquote Salafi masjids, right? But in reality, that is from our way. So when you criticize him, you actually criticizing Salafiyah. That's what these brothers are doing. In reality, they're criticizing qawaid, principles of Salafiyah. Whether they know or not, that's a whole other issue. But they are when they criticize people without proof and without reason, they're actually criticizing Salafiyah too.
That's right, brother. He said what you just said. He's going to say that later on. He said that actually you're going to make the Salaf, our prior predecessors, look bad.
Yeah.
You're going to make the Dawah to Salafiyah look bad. He told Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi. When you do this, because how are people going to act? How can so-and-so back this? How he can support this? When you know it's clear going against what's the usul and the principles. Yeah. You're going to make people now look into the Salafi Dawah. And we got this now. How many people say that I stay away from the Salafi Dawah altogether? Some people don't even got it together. All they do is refute one another. Next day he's on, he's off it. How they talk about it? Harsh behavior. Look at it, they're stern. And we got kalam from Shaykh Rabee about that. Telling the students to be what? Gentle with one another. To be mindful of one another. All of these different things. Tell me why, brothers and sisters, that these beloved brothers, they have been here in this city for years. And you tell me why. And we're not going to negate any good that they have done, but tell me why everyone that come from them, they don't even know correctly. I'm being honest with you. They have not finished one correctly book with the proper understanding of the author that was explaining that particular book. But they do know this. Who not to take from, who has been warned against, who's off it, what scholar names to throw around. This is stuff they know.
No.
They can just came into Islam 2 years, 3 years. They can do this, and they come right out, and all they know is hatred. Don't deal with so-and-so. I'm telling you, you want to safeguard your deen. You know, the people of Bid'ah, they know by their friends. Using isolated athars. First of all, do you even know the levels of Bid'ah? The people that these people were talking about? The Salaf was talking about people who were literally upon innovation. Literally. The Aqidah was well known. They was attacking the Aqidah. They was going at it from every standpoint. This is why some of them was slaughtered. As we find out, one of the Salaf, he was the Khalifa. When he came out, what did he do? He said, as for you, you go slaughter. But for me, I'm going to slaughter this individual. And he slaughtered him. Because he was going against well-known principles. And now you want to come along and tell me to stay away from so-and-so. Stay away from fulan and that. With no detailed stuff. This is why. He's telling them. This is why they clarified this. And he said they got works in abundance pertaining to this. He told Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi. And he said, I will mention some of them. And I cannot. And he said, this is why I cannot overlook the statements of the people of the ulama and stipulating to us to detail the unclear criticism.
Well, one of the things that also what this manhaj does, the manhaj of Hadadiyah and Hizbiyah, and being harsh and stern on everybody. A person, Deen can't survive constantly refuting everything and everybody. Why? Because the heart becomes hard. You become an angry individual. The spirituality doesn't happen. So we find people sinning a lot, in and out of hijab. They're in and out of this, that. They're in and out of the door, back in the door. You know why? Because there is no spiritual food in that. It has a place, but not all day. And every single day, that's all you're being taught. Your soul and your heart can't survive with that type of food. It's poisonous if it's too much. And what it does is cause you to hate everybody around you. And you can't, as a human being. Human beings are not created and built to hate everything. We're just not. And we can't survive as humans like that. And that's why you find that our communities are so divided and hateful towards one another that there's no spiritual growth, there's no social growth, there's no wealth growth. Because how can you be in the same room with each other when you hate the man next to you?
Not only that, our beloved Prophet his adjective was given Rahmatul Alameen.
SubhanAllah.
He was known as a mercy to mankind. Also, and not on top of that, it's not even just a place for that. It's also it have men.
Exactly.
This type of bab has men, specific men for that.
Mm-hmm.
And those men have to possess a level of taqwa that they must have and be balanced. And these things they must do. He brought one statement. He said, Rajaha ibn Salih and ta'dil maqbool min ghayri dhikr sabab. And this is important. He said, Ibn Salah, and for those who don't know, got time, Ibn Salah, he has a nice, beautiful muqaddimah dealing with the hadith science. Anyway, he said that he hold acceptable and agreeable that praise is acceptable. General praise is accepted without mentioning the reason for that praise.
No, exactly.
Meaning if a scholar speak about so-and-so in a good manner or a good light, he don't have to mention his reason for doing that. That's general praise. Now pay attention. He said, وَأَنَّ الْجَهْرَ لَا يَقْبَلْ إِلَّا مُفَسِّرًا مُبَيِّ السَّبَبِ.
No.
Look at this. He said, because jarh, criticism, is not accepted unless it's detailed and the reason for it must be clarified.
No. Have you ever seen any clarified? To this day right now, like for example, Bilal Phillips, and we're not sitting here trying to defend anybody. Does anybody know why the Bilal Phillips was refuted? Does anybody know the reason, the proof, what he said, what he did? Where's the ayat, the hadith? Where's the scholars that refuted him? To this day. Because when I first came on the Dawah, the book of monotheism, everybody had in their house. All of a sudden, we couldn't take from him no more because that's Pub said so.
And even so, they said that he made some errors in terms of the belief of Tawheed Hakamiyya. But even so, he retracted those statements.
No.
And if he retracted, can it be accepted? That's for the scholars to deal with that.
Exactly.
And this is the point. This is the point that, you know, again, why they had that agreement, not to go into that.
Exactly.
Like Abu Osama. What's the detailed refutations of it? We still to this day we don't
need to
know.
see it.
But understandably, we love and respect our elder Abu Uwais rahimahullah, and alhamdulillah, we all know him. A lot of people know his talk, Goldie, you know, his talk of silence. Everyone knows this. A lot of people plan it. I used to feel some type of way that you're not big upon Tawheed and learning the aspects of Tawheed, and he got many works on explaining Aqidah Wasatiyya, Kitab Tawheed, that Abu Uwais got explaining books. I'm talking about many tapes, finished them. Everyone running around playing the tape against Goldie. I just didn't really understand that. And on top of that, that wasn't some of his best works. Because again, that was specific and that was talking about somebody, and you still have to bring detailed information. And that's our elder. You know, and we respect him. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make his grave spacious.
Ameen.
But we still asking you to this day, what is the me personally, anyone that us pubs have refuted on their own,
I don't take it.
Individually, I do not take it.
No.
I have to go back and investigate it. If it comes from a scholar, and I know that scholar is trustworthy enough, he's going to mention this evidence, and it's going to be detailed. And even if it's one particular scholar, or it's two particular scholars, and if it's not detailed, and it's not understood, to remove him out of the fold of Salafiyya, to remove him out of the fold of Ahlul Sunnah, to call him a Mubtadi', there have to be rules. And that's for anyone. There have to be rules. And we have to go by those rules. And we're not here saying that we're now promoting the likes of this or that. We're saying the truth. And the haqq is the haqq. It's either going to be for you or against you.
No.
We're saying the truth. We want to play something for y'all can take home with you. And I want y'all to listen to Sheikh Sulaiman al-Ruhaili here, inshallah. Listen to what he said about removing someone from Salafiyya. And I want you lay people, please, us lay people, let's take the time to get our situation back in control. We have children, that we sin and sit up under these people. We have this. I'm not saying not take knowledge from the brothers, but I'm saying when they start speaking nonsense and they start talking about people, stand up and let them know this is not what we want you here for. We don't want to hear that. Unless the scholars have spoke about this person, unless they this, then relay what they said. We don't want to hear nothing you got to say about another student that is not clear and is unclear. We want to hear stuff with evidence.
No. It says the question that says, what are the principles which make one leave Salafiyya? This is the question that I asked Suleiman al-Ruhaili. Somebody asked the Sheikh that.
الإخراج من السلفية أمر عظيم يا إخوة. الإخراج من السلفية أمر عظيم.
The Sheikh said, to take one out of the fold of Salafiyya is a great affair, my brothers. To take one out of the fold of Salafiyya is a great affair.
ولذلك لا ينبغي لنا أن نعجل في هذا الأمر. ولا ينبغي لطلاب العلم أن ينصبوا أنفسهم حكاما في هذا الباب.
And he says, this is why it is not befitting for us to be hasty in this affair. And it is not befitting for students of knowledge to nominate themselves as rulers in this aspect.
يعني
Alhamdulillah. Okay, us stopping it and keep stopping it's not going to play all the way through. We like to read it, but another time, inshallah ta'ala, we'll play it. I post it up. But actually, his statement is, as you see right now, he was getting ready to go in. It's not for any student of knowledge. It's not for any student of knowledge to place himself as one who can do this. It's not for any student of knowledge.
Make another statement. He said, unfortunately, we find some small students of knowledge issuing verdicts on major scholars. Perhaps this youth issued this ruling from himself on the very scholar who taught him Salafiyya, that he is not Salafi. Subhanallah.
And so that you know, right now, there are some students in Medina that is causing a lot of fitna, saying that, or not Medina, they're mentioning, it's buffering. There's a lot of students in Medina that are causing a lot of fitna in terms of saying something about Shaykh Rabee, trying to remove him from Salafiyya. And this is what they do, brothers and sisters. They raise people up and then they belittle them. Don't even worry about it. They raise people up and then they belittle them by the permission of Allah. And we just have to remind ourselves to really stay on top and really start learning. So my advice generally, inshallah ta'ala, stay tuned for part 2. We're going to finish the letter of Shaykh Rabee because it's very important and it's very viable, and you're going to see some of these characteristics in that particular letter that our beloved brothers have felt into, the same thing that Shaykh Faalih al-Harbi have felt into as well. Jazakallah khairan. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik.